Coming up on today's show, a look at the best PS4 and 5 games to buy for this holiday season. Hello YouTube, it's PS4 Gaming Scotland here and welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are well and gaming lots. So in today's video, with Black Friday and Cyber Monday gone and Christmas just around the corner, I thought it'd be a good idea to continue my buyer's guide for 2021. So in today's video we'll be looking at some PS4 games and PS5 games that you can buy from 2021 that I recommend, and also friends have recommended to me as well, as I physically can't play every single game on this list, which is a damn shame because there's some really fantastic games in store. So if you've got a gamer in your life, or that's a relative or a friend, here are some games that they might be interested in. Now obviously before we get into the video, prices will fluctuate depending on when you're watching this, so these prices are correct at the time of recording this video, i.e. in November 2021. Now before we get into the list of games, I just wanted to quickly mention that most of these games can be played on PS4 and 5. It's just that when making this video, these are the versions of the games that I've got for PS4 and 5. I just want to make that clear that if you've got the game on PS4, you might be able to get it on PS5. Some of these games are PS4 exclusive and some are PS5, and obviously some are cross-gen. Just want to make that clear. So let's get into the PS4 and PS5 buyer's guide. So first up for PS4 we have It Takes Two. So It Takes Two is a two-player co-op only game about divorce. Hazelight Studios, the game's creators, have made what is quite a difficult and harrowing subject quite a fun and enjoyable experience. The game has lots of puzzles and interactive themes and elements throughout, which makes this game a great game to play with all the family. Currently priced up around £20 to £30. Now obviously when you watch the prices will fluctuate, so if you watch this in a year's time, prices will be different to at the time of recording this video today in November 2021, so it's around £20 to £30, so just bear that in mind, prices may fluctuate. So next up for PS4 we have the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now this was originally released on PS3. Mass Effect's quite a big franchise, so they've brought back the first three games for this Legendary Edition. It's a collection of the first three games, Mass Effect, Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, just the single player campaigns. The graphics, lighting, combat and vehicle mechanics have all been improved. That is subjective. Some people might prefer the original games, some people might prefer this remastered trilogy. That's for you to decide, but in my research that's what it says. So this game can be picked up for around £45 to £55 thereabouts. So next up for PS4 we have Chernobyl Light. It's a science fiction video game set 30 years after the Chernobyl disaster. You play as a physicist who was formerly employed at the Chernobyl power plant, who is suffering from the loss of their partner and is there to seek and look out for answers as to what happened and why it happened. So you explore the exclusion zone and scavenge for items as you encounter hostile enemies. Any character can die and any mission can be failed, so you have to be on your toes and you have to also make decisions that affect the story. This game can be picked up for around £20 to £30. And finally for PS4 we have Crysis Remastered Trilogy. So these games were originally released on the PS3, can I believe be bought separately, but in this remastered trilogy they come in one collection and focus on reliving the single player campaigns of Crysis 2 and 3. Can be picked up for around £37 to £45. So since there wasn't many PS4 games on this list, I'm going to also do a PS5 buyer's guide in this video as well, just so there's enough content for this video. So first up for the PS5 buyer's guide is Returnal. It's a third person roguelite adventure set on the planet of Atropos, where you play as a scout called Celine, who is there to search for a mysterious white signal but finds herself trapped in a time loop. It's a colourful, fast-paced game, but having fast reactions is essential to dodge all the bullets coming your way from the game's bosses and other enemies. The game also has received a much needed save feature, and it also has a lot of story with cutscenes as well. The game can be purchased for around £50 to £70. Now obviously these games are in pounds and pence and not in US dollar or Australian dollar. I apologise for that, please use a converter for that. So next up for PS5 we have Resident Evil Village. So it's the 8th entry in the survival horror series from Capcom and is a sequel to Resident Evil 7. You play as Ethan Winters, who is searching for his kidnapped daughter and finds himself in a European village filled with werewolves and so many more gruesome creatures as well. There's a lot of replayability with these Resident Evil games, and it's also got a new Mercenaries mode, which is also very fun. I've heard from friends as well, so that can be picked up for between £35 to £47. So at number 3 on the list for PS5 games for 2021, we have Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. It's a fun shooter platformer developed by Insomniac Games. The game has a main story, side quests, and you can earn bolts, upgraded armor and weapons, and it's also a collectathon, which means you can collect lots of different things within the game. Also back is the gold bolts, which are in the hidden locations throughout the world, which brings me on to the new system in the world, and that's the Rift system, which acts as the game's fast travel mechanics. Very impressive, and the game is outstanding on the PS5 with its visuals and all-round gameplay. The game can be picked up for around £30 to £60. Now obviously most of these games will be found on sale multiple times throughout the year, so just keep an eye out if the games are a bit too pricey for you. Obviously coming up for Christmas, you know, might have loads of other expenses, so always try and look out for sales throughout the year, either on PS Store, on the PlayStation itself, or online on different retailers' websites. So next up we have Deathloop. So it's a first-person shooter. You play as Colt, an assassin who is stuck in a time loop, and his job is to take out 8 visionaries, i.e. enemies, before midnight. The player can use a combination of guns, gadgets, stealth, and parkour to eliminate the targets, as failing to do so will reset the time loop. Each district, which there's 4 of, has 4 times of day: morning, noon, afternoon, and evening, which will result in the enemies being in different locations within the different time periods. So you have to study their locations if you want to take out all 8 within one day, because that's the objective of the game. This game can be picked up for around £30 to £60. So at number 5 we have Kena Bridge of Spirits. This is the first game by Ember Lab Studios, who bring their expertise in animation to the table. You play as Kena, a spirit guide who uses her magical abilities to help deceased people move into the spirit world. Graphically, it looks very similar to like Pixar Disney films that you have seen countless times, so visually it looks very impressive and the gameplay looks really good as well. So next up for PS5 we have a game from Ubisoft, and that is Far Cry 6. It's the 6th entry in the Far Cry franchise, set in the fictional Caribbean island of Yara, heavily inspired by Cuba. You play as a guerrilla fighter, Danny Rogers. So in this game you can either play as male or female, which is good. There's lots of third person areas to explore in your main camp. So basically you play as a guerrilla fighter who tries to topple the game's dictator Anton Castillo, voiced by Giancarlo Esposito of Breaking Bad fame. This was one of my favourite entries in the franchise, as the setting was beautiful, the games had fantastic lighting effects, and there was lots of things to do and places to explore in this fantastic entry in the Far Cry series. The game can be currently picked up for around £40 to £55. So next up for PS5 we have the Alan Wake remaster. Now these games were originally released on the Xbox, I think 360, back in 2010. So the story follows this avid novelist and thriller writer Alan Wake as he tries to find out about his wife's disappearance whilst he is on a family holiday in Bright Falls, which is a small fictional town in Washington in America, all whilst his recent story and writing comes to life. The game also features both pieces of DLC as well, which was originally included in the original game. Now this game seems to be quite linear. I do have it. Friends have recommended this one is really good and fantastic. So yeah, I really can't wait to play this one. And finally, for the last game for PS5 and this buyer's guide for 2021 is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. So after the perceived disappointment of Marvel's Avengers a few years ago, fans, including myself, were skeptical for this release. Friends have said this newest game that's set in the Marvel universe is really fantastic and it has a brilliant story to boot. The game takes place several years after a war that has left its mark on the entire galaxy. You play as Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord. You can use his elemental gun to shoot enemies and can use his jet boots to travel around the world. You can also issue commands during combat to the other people within your group, but unfortunately can't play as them because they are controlled by the computer AI in the game. So they are Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, Groot and Drax the Destroyer. So I'm really pleased to hear that this game has been met with fantastic reviews from fans and critics alike. Definitely a game I will be picking up eventually, and currently you can pick it up for between £50 and £60. So there you go guys, that has been my PS4 and PS5 buyer's guide for 2021. As always, let me know your thoughts below and comment down below of what games I haven't mentioned here that you would recommend to a gaming relative or friend. They were the games for my PS4 and PS5 buyer's guide. That's the end of today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching. I've been PS3 Gaming Scotland, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks very much to you guys. Bye bye.